I had a lady come in to buy a Qashqai. We had a Qashqai in, and she came in to buy it, and the only decision why she wasn't taking it was colour. Mine was silver, and she'd seen a blue one at Nissan that was exactly the same miles, exactly the same car, exactly the same price. So she was choosing the blue one, which genuinely I would have chosen the blue one over my silver one. It was just down to colour. But she said, I love the experience of buying the car from you. I went to the Nissan dealer and I didn't get the experience that I'm getting here at One Automatic. I like the experience I'm getting here. So I said to her, so you like what you're getting here, but you want the other car? She said, yes. I said, let's jump in your car. So I put her in her car. I drove her down to the Nissan dealer and I sold her the blue car on the Nissan dealer's forecourt. I went in, asked for his keys with my jacket on, and he went, what for? I said, just give me the keys, I'm going to sell the car for you. And I went out and I sold them their car on their forecourt in my branded wear, because I wanted her to have that experience. She had the Brewer experience, but she had it at the Nissan dealership. And the Nissan, all the salesmen, all the staff, the secretary, the front of house, the mechanics, everyone standing at the window, gawping outside going, Jesus, what's he doing? That for me meant so much. And I'll tell you why it meant so much. Not only, I've done this a few times, by the way, not only did she get the car that she wanted, she went away and she told every single member of her family what happened. They told all their friends down the pub, and I guarantee I probably sold 5 cars off the back of that. I'm a workaholic. I've never stopped working, and I think that's part of the success, you know, that I just get my head down and get... It's a car dealer's attitude. You know, we get our head down and we just get on with it. Chops and David, I don't know you as much as I followed Joe, but Joe works like he's nuts off, doesn't he? Every time I'd switch on my computer, Joe's there, either kicking tyres down at the auction, doing videos, turning up for work, running through the car site, working out what stock he's got. You know, that's us. That's head down, get on with it.
You make me feel lazy, Mike, to be honest.
Hey, Mike, look at that there, see? Back seat.
What is it?
Same as the Marina, isn't it?
It's an Ital. I bought an Ital down at Dingwall's car auctions. I turned up in a Mark 1 Golf GTI, didn't want to sell it. It was a bit of retail stock. Stood outside Dingwall car auctions. Fucking hell, this would be 1994, something like that. Stood outside the auctions, and 2 dealers that I know, Morris and... They were Italian, Morris and I think Tony, his name was, or Antonio. They begged me to sell them the Golf, and I didn't want to sell it to them. Please, please, please. They stood outside, opened up a carrier bag full of cash. So I went, oh, sod it. So I traded them the Golf, had a carrier bag full of cash. Thought to myself, how am I going to get home from here? I'm at the auction, stuck now, no car and a carrier bag full of cash. Walked into Dingwall's and put my hands up for a blue Morris Ital 1.8L with 1 week's MOT on it, 1 week's road tax, and I give £18 for it.
Jesus.
And I remember booking that car out. I give 18 quid. I remember booking the car out, and the girl said to me, what's her name? And I went, what's his name? Wayne Bruce. And she said, address? And I went, Gotham City. And she looked up at me from behind the glass plate, and she went, name? And I said, Wayne Bruce. Address? I went, Gotham City, write it down. She went, no, I need your real name and address. I said, no, I'm Wayne Bruce from Gotham City. Just write that down. Gotham City Garage. So she wrote that down on a piece of paper. I had a logbook, an MOT, the 1 week's road tax left on the screen, and I drove back to where I was in Croydon. I left genuinely outside the Fairfield Halls in Croydon. I put the logbook, MOT, and the key on the seat and walked home. I left it there. It was cheaper than getting a cab. It was 18 quid.
Brilliant, love it.
You wouldn't get away with it these days. They'd be chasing you for
True
your
story,
non-tax
that is.
and whatever.
It would be great to track down whoever got out of that car.
Yeah, someone out there's got it somewhere.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? It might be painted gold and it's sitting in
Yeah.
your showroom.
I've got a blue velour interior for it, so maybe it was blue at one point.
I'll be honest with you. I like people. You know, I just like people. What people often ask me, why are you doing this? Why? The last thing I need to do is go, throw myself at one automotive and go back in the trade again. I could happily retire. I don't need to. I don't want to sound facetious to the audience, but I've done very well, and I have been an entrepreneur all my life, and I have invested in a property portfolio and all the rest of it, and a good pension. So I don't need to do this. I don't need to work. But there is this hole that's always sort of missing in my life, and it's people. And I just love being around people. I love my live shows that I do at the weekend, the big events. But there's nothing better than the thrill of being in the dealership and dealing with customers that genuinely want to buy a vehicle. I sold one the other day. I said to James, my business partner, the other day, there was a moment the other day that you could take every negative moment I've had over the last year and it was gone in just 1 second when I sold this couple a car. And as I walked away from shaking his hand, saying, yeah, mate, you got yourself a deal, I'll just get the paperwork ready. As I walked away, in the glass reflection, I could see him and his girlfriend high-five each other. And that moment almost brought a tear to my eye. And it was like, I've made that, they are so happy. I've made that couple so happy, and I'm happy. I got them a great deal, but they have got the car of their dreams, and that's the moment where everything else just disappears. You go, that's why I'm doing this. I love it. I love it for that reason.
When you first started, who did you look up to as a trick? Like, who inspired you to do it? Or do you think you were just born to do this?
Yeah, just most definitely my dad. My dad was a very well-known car customizer. Back in the 1970s, he'd done a few famous cars that made the cover of Hot Rod magazines. I watched my dad work so hard for our family and give our family the best lives we could possibly have. And I remember on a few occasions where I'd seen my dad go and buy, say, a very new Mark III Escort that was, been in a fire, the engine was burnt out. And my dad down the garage at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, with me taking a cup of tea out to him, in the dead of the winter, freezing cold at night, while he's removing the engine, repainting the engine bay, rebuilding the engine. And that was to sell it, to put food on the table for his family. And I remember seeing all that when I was a kid growing up. And I also remember being around my dad at car shows and how he was loved by people that would pat him on the back. And, nobody had a selfie camera those days, but I'm pretty sure if they did, they would have asked for a picture with my dad, Roger, because he was just a proper, nice, good bloke. He still is just a real proper, amazing, good bloke. I always wanted to be him. I always wanted to be my dad and just be the best version of myself that I could possibly be. And he sat me down when I was, very first. I got my scooter at 15, illegally drove a little Vespa around at 15 until I was old enough to get my provisional at 16. My mum and dad say, when you got your provisional license, you simply disappeared because I just off on my little 50. But I remember my dad sitting me down at 16 years of age on the staircase of our house in Sutton. And there's me being a cheeky boy about town, couple of quid in his pocket, working down the market stalls, buying and selling the odd thing. And, I could have gone one or two ways. I could have been this street urchin who was, one way, or I could have been something else. And my dad just sat me down on the staircase one day and he said, look, son, you're at a crossroads at your life. I feel that you're really bright, you're very clever and you're very bright. And I'm the baby of six, by the way, six elder, I'm the 5 elder brothers and sisters. And my dad said, I'll just give you my advice is always do the right thing, never ever do the wrong thing. You will get offered the wrong thing, never do it. Just do the right thing and you'll be okay, son. And I've stuck by that ethos all my life in terms of my television career, cars, commitment, people, relationships. I've always just done the right thing and I've never done the wrong thing, and it's paid its way throughout its life. It was my dad basically, who's inspired me to be the person that I am and to do what I'm doing. And I still would, can't hold a candle to him, really. He's still the greatest man I know.
Brilliant.
Beautiful.